Hello there! Welcome in Ed 403, especially to our instructor, Dr. Roulette Cordevilla, and to our classmates who are watching and listening there. Welcome! And with this one, our topic is all about communication for work purposes, in which we are the group 4, and we're going to tackle about the chapter 4. And with this one, we are going to introduce ourselves. My name is Rachel Panula, and followed by Miss Kinol Zaira, Miss Lagos Kianadon, Miss Mirabeles Marican, and Miss Palayahay Jiname, and Miss Piss and Catherine, and Miss Polio Kate. And we are excited to let you watch our presentation. Are you excited? I think everyone are excited. Let's start. Before we begin, let us first define what is communication for work purposes in education. As we all know that it is a process of exchanging information and ideas both verbally and non-verbally from one person to another in an organization. And with this one, along with the video, we are going to witness the intended learning outcomes in our presentation. We are going to internalize the best practices of school in terms of their communication endeavors responsive to the learner's linguistic, cultural, socio-economic, and religious backgrounds. Second, we are going to enact best practices of schools in terms of their communication endeavors responsive to the learner's linguistic, cultural, socio-economic, and religious backgrounds. Last is that we are going to research on models of effective workplace communication as applied in schools, which are implementing teaching strategies that are responsive to the learner's linguistic, cultural, socio-economic, and religious backgrounds. Now, are you excited? Okay, it seems that you are excited. So to start with, let us witness the vlog of our group. Let us witness the best practices of schools in terms of communication through vlog. A round of applause, please.
Hello there! Welcome to another episode of Z and Rachel's Adventures!
We are the students from Negros Oriental State University.
And we are from the College of Teacher Education.
Rachel, I'm up for some adventure today.
Me too! And I'm excited to share everyone what is new for today.
Yes, for today we will be exploring more about some random countries.
I'm excited.
And I'm craving for some spicy delicacies. How about we take a look at China?
China? Wu Aini!
Let's go!
Let's go! Finally, we're here!
Yes, it was a tiring journey for us, right? And now finally we are here in China. And I've noticed, what have you noticed about Chinese people?
Yes, as what I've learned, China is known as the sleeping giant.
Yes, sleeping giant in the sense that they are like small place, but their economics is progressing right now,
Yeah,
right?
because Chinese are so very hardworking.
Yes, they are hardworking. And now we have here Miss Katharina Pisan. Can you tell us more about China?
So China, the delicacy that we must not miss is that the dumplings, which is the most populous food in China. And then there are also the chow mein, which is the populous noodles in China. Food.
Wow, thank you for the information.
Yeah, thank you so much. I would probably try that.
And now, speaking of, let's go try their delicacies now.
Let's go.
Let's go try some dumplings. Let's go,
Let's
Rachel.
go, everyone.
Guys, I'm so full.
Me too.
How about we try some delicacies from desserts? Because there are a lot of deserts at Saudi Arabia.
Saudi Arabia? I'm excited to go there.
Okay, let's go.
Let's go. Wow, we're now here in the Saudi Arabia. Let's take a picture.
Oh, for Instagram.
Yeah, and you know what, Z?
What?
Saudi Arabia is famous for oil.
Wow.
Yeah.
Oh my god, we have here our Saudi Arabian
Oh,
friends.
hello.
there.
I'm excited.
I can recommend
shawarma, curries, and
Wow.
also kabsa. So they are very popular in our country. So you should try it.
I probably try that. Z, let's try that.
Bahardis, what do you call that? But for sure, I will try that. Me and Rachel will try that. Okay, for our next stop, we shall go to Africa. Let's go.
Africa, let's go. Let's go, everyone.
Bye. Thank you. I love it here in Africa.
Yeah, me too. The environment, the people are so welcoming.
Yeah, right. Now we have here our African friend to tell us more about what we should know and why we should go to Africa. Okay, audiences, please take down notes.
Yeah, let's.
Africa is the second most largest and most populous in the continent, and 70% of Africans dependent on livelihood agriculture.
Wow, it's very informative, and you guys should visit Africa. And now that we have experienced other countries, Rachel, but I think that it's more fun in the Philippines.
Yeah, and I'm excited to witness the islands there and also their delicacies.
Okay, let's go back to the Philippines because love the Philippines. After a tiring day, we're finally back here in the Philippines.
We're now in the Philippines. Norsinians, are you excited to witness the beautiful spots in the Philippines? But before anything else, let's enter first the house of our friend from the Philippines.
Oh, there she is! Hi! Kamusta?
Kumusta?
Tuloy kayo. Okay, thank you so
Salamat.
much. I miss the hospitality of Filipinos, right?
Yeah.
So, Miss Maricon, our dear friend, what could you tell us about the Philippines and to invite our audiences to come and visit the Philippines?
So Philippines celebrates Christmas longest than other countries. When bear months knocks on their door, Filipinos start to decorate their homes.
Yeah, that is why there are a lot of decorations there.
Partly because Filipinos have a deep sense of faith and devotion to Jesus Christ.
Oh, that is why.
And who does not love parties, right?
Yes, we love parties.
love
Are you holding a party tonight?
Yes.
Okay. So that is why we should visit the Philippines because of its long Christmas and
Also, the people who are so very hospitable.
their parties. And that's it for our vlog for today. Thank you so much, Miss Maricon.
Thank you so
Thank you so much. And that concludes the Z and Rachel's Adventures. See you in our next episode. Bye.
Goodbye!
Let us sit back and relax to witness a short drama.
Good day, everyone! Today we have a very special presentation to showcase our commitment in respecting and embracing our learners' diversity in their socio-economic, cultural, linguistic, and religious backgrounds. Welcome to ASEAN Assembly 2023, Lief, Wandikaishin, and Mabuhay! Today, let's witness the presentation coming from the land of dragons, China! Ni hao.
Ni hao. China is one of the largest countries in the world. The capital city is Beijing, and Shanghai is the city with the most people living in it. A few of the main places to see in China are the Great Wall of China, the longest wall in the world, the Forbidden City, a place of Chinese cultural and historical relics, one of the most popular foods in China, chicken gungbao, one of the spiciest in Chinese. It is made up of small pieces of chicken, served with fried vegetables, peanuts, and chili peppers. Chow mein is a traditional Chinese noodle dish. The most common variation is with beef or chicken as well as cabbage and vegetable.
Stamina, minasan, galawa. Because it's time for Africa! Liel!
Africa's rich history and culture are so diverse that it varies not only from one country to another, but also within regions and countries. The culture of each ethnic group holds together the authentic social fabric of traditional practices and rites, art, music, and oral literature through which identities are built.
With 7,107 islands, Philippines! Mabuhay! Halina't tangkilikin ang Pilipinas! Let us all acknowledge the presence of our University President, Dr. Kinong, in her Tinikling performance!
Welcome to the Philippines, Mabuhay, island country of Southeast Asia in Western Pacific. Philippines has beautiful beaches, impressive mountains, and rich in cultural heritage. A land rich in natural resources, scenic locales, and friendly smiles. There's more. There's a lot of creative native crafts and unique gastronomic experiences only here in Philippines.
The land of Habibis, we have Saudi Arabia. Assalamualaikum.
Welcome to Saudi Arabia, a large and influential country in the Middle East. It is known for its rich history, culture, religion, and oil resources. Saudi Arabia is the birthplace of Islam, the world's second largest religion. It is home to the two holiest cities of Islam, Mecca and Medina, where millions of Muslims perform pilgrimage every year.
As we all have witnessed the various performances coming from around the globe, let us call in our dynamic and ever-active University President, Dr. Zaira May Kinol. Let's give her a sounding applause.
Thank you so much, Miss Kiana Dom Lagos, for that very heartwarming welcome. And as we end our program, let me thank everyone, especially our performers, for the great performances. And I myself have experienced how to be a performer for today. And as we end our program, I would like to greet everyone for the very good performance, and I hope that we have learned a lot from our ASEAN alliances. And that's it, everyone. I hope that you will cherish everything that you have learned from this gathering all throughout your lives. Thank you and have a good day.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for watching our vlog and our short drama presentation. Now that you've witnessed our vlog, I hope that you've learned something about the best practices of schools in terms of their communication endeavors responsive to the learner's linguistic, cultural, socio-economic, and religious backgrounds. At this time, to make it understandable as possible, we research on models of effective workplace communication as applied in schools which are implementing teaching strategies that are responsive to the learner's linguistic, cultural, socio-economic, and religious backgrounds. And let's start. As we all know that communication is more complex than most people realize, right? It can involve various forms of information, from written text to diagrams, as well as multiple people with different communication styles. At this time, these models are divided into 3 categories. We're going to witness the linear models, the interactive models, and the transactional models. When we say linear models, it is a one-way communication methods. While interactive models meaning two-way communication methods, while when we say transactional models, it is a two-way conversation wherein the message becomes more complex as the event or the discussion progress. So, let's start with the different models.
Now, to start this discussion, we will be first discussing about the Aristotle model. Aristotle said that in order to communicate effectively, we need to consider these 5 elements within any communication event. The first one is the speaker, the person who is delivering the message. For example, the speaker must make sure that the message is clear and must use a language that is understood by everyone. So just like in the enactment, as a speaker, I made sure that I used English to converse since English is our universal language. Next one is the speech, the information and how it is portrayed. So in the enactment, the host introduced the university president as the one who will give the remarks in the event. The occasion is the third one, which is the context surrounding the communication. Since the occasion calls for formality and welcoming guests from all around the globe, the tone was friendly yet firm and formal at the same time. Next is the target audience. They will be the one who will be receiving the message in the assembly. So in the ASEAN assembly, they are the participants. Next one is the effect. This is the goal of the communication. So in our enactment, the goal was to bring the audience closer together through a gathering with their performances as stated by the university president, and it was effectively achieved. So that would be all, and we will now proceed to our next model.
I will going to discuss about Lasswell's model of communication. So Lasswell's model of communication is like Aristotle's model. So this revolves around the 5 key elements. And however, these elements are presented to ask questions the speakers needs. So there are the core components of these Lasswell's models. Who? So who was the responsible for sending the message? So this element addresses the question of the sender or source of the communication. So it delves into the identity, the motives, and attributes of the communicator. So understanding who is transmitting the message is crucial for interpreting its significance and potential impact. So the next is what. So what information needs to be portrayed. So in what, the focus here is on the message itself. So the content or ideas or emotions being conveyed
is that analyzing the substance of the message provide insight into the intentions and objectives of the communicator. And the next is in which channel. So this means that which method does the speaker use for communication. So these components pertains to the medium or method through which the communication is being transmitted. So whether it's spoken words, written text, visual imagery, or another channel, the choice of communication. To whom? Who is receiving the message? So in this, the audience or the receiver of the communication is central to this aspect. So understanding the characteristics, the beliefs, and perspectives of the intended recipients helps judge how the message might resonate and impact them. And the next is what effect. So with what effect? So the final piece of the model examines the consequences of communication. It considers how the message influences the attitudes, the behaviors, or the opinions or the emotions of the recipients. So in this, the effect of communication completes the cycle, providing insights into the overall success of the process. So this Laswell's model of communication in connecting to the learner's linguistic, socio-economic, cultural, and religious backgrounds is that it is valuable for its simplicity and ability to capture the essential communication dynamics. Is often criticized for its linear nature and lack of provisions for there is also a feedback, noise, and the interactive nature of modern communication. So the example of Laswell's model of communication is interpersonal communication. So in a face-to-face conversation between friends, the who are the individuals engaged in the conversation. And the says what includes the topics, ideas, and emotions being discussed, and then in which channel is the verbal and non-verbal cues in the conversation, and to whom are the friends participating in the discussion, and with what effect component be changes in understanding, emotional connection, or decisions made based on the conversation. So that is the example of Laswell's model of communication.
So the third model of communication that we will talk about is the Shannon-Weaver model of communication. So just like the other linear model of communication, this model also had 5 significant key parts, namely the sender, the encoder, the channel, the decoder, and the receiver. So this model emphasizes the importance of encoding message by turning it into words, written, visual, voice, or into video. So it also highlights the importance of being able to make sense of the message before decoding it. So this model first addressed the influence of the noise in communication, which also affects the quality of the communication. So that is why when we are talking or when we are sending a message or when we are communicating to a person, we should also consider the media or the channel of communication that we are using, the choice of words. The word should be appropriate, especially if we are talking to a person who is different, who have different belief or culture. So Later on, this model added the influence of feedback, which makes this communication more collaborative.
The last linear models of communication is Berlus SMCR model of communication, which stands for sender, message, channel, receiver. Berlus SMCR model of communication can be adapted to be responsive to learners' linguistic, cultural, socio-economic, and religious backgrounds through school observations in the following ways. Number 1, sender. The teacher, as the sender, should be aware of the diverse backgrounds of the learners. They can tailor their communication style, language, and content to be sensitive to the linguistic and cultural differences present in the classroom. Number 2, message. The content of the message should be designed to be inclusive and respectful of various cultural and religious perspectives. It should avoid assumptions that may not be applicable to all students. The message should also be clear and easily understandable, taking into account the linguistic diversity in the class. Now, number 3, channel. The choice of communication channels should consider the socio-economic background of the students. For example, if some students have limited access to technology, the teacher might need to use a mix of in-person and digital communication methods. Now, in number 4, receiver, learners. Observations can help teachers understand the unique needs and preferences of individual students. This allows for the customization of communication to accommodate various backgrounds, ensuring that students can engage with the material more effectively. Now, by applying the SMCR model with sensitivity to these factors, educators can create a more inclusive and effective communication environment in the classroom.
Now, let us define the 5th model. It is the Osgood-Schramm model. It means that it usually describes synchronous interpersonal communication. The principles of the model include communication in circular. Individuals in the communication process are constantly switching between roles of encoder and decoder. Communication should be equal and reciprocal, and every part involved in the discussion is equally engaged and able to share their voice. Interpretation is crucial. Messages need to be presented in a way that is easy to interpret for both sides of party to be understood. So through this one, we can apply the Osgood-Schramm model in the best practices in the educational setting, in which as teachers, we need to apply communication in circular, wherein we allow learners that they are constantly switching ideas from one to another. And also, in communication, it must be equal. You should allow your receiver to hear what he or she is trying to tell. So, in order to promote diversity, we need to become a good listener. And not just that, interpretation is crucial. That's why we need to respect with one another. So that's it. Thank you so much, and back to you.
The Wesley and Maclean model of communication is a theoretical framework for understanding how communication works. It was proposed by Bruce Wesley and Malcolm Maclean in 1957, and it can be applied to both interpersonal and mass communication contexts. So the Wesley and Maclean model of communication argues that how we communicate and the things we say are directly influenced by our perspective, background, and who we are. Teaching strategies that are responsive to the learner's linguistic needs are those that take into account the language abilities, preferences, and backgrounds of the learners. They aim to provide meaningful and comprehensive output, opportunities for interaction, and appropriate feedback and support for language development. Some strategies that the teacher implement are using visual aids, gestures, demonstrations to help students understand the content, and the language. We can also incorporate more group work and cooperate learning activities where students can practice their language skills with their peers, share their ideas and perspectives. In terms of cultural, the teacher aims to create a learning environment that affirms and values students' diversity and connects the curriculum to their lives and communities. Some strategies are considering students' cultures when developing learning objectives and assessments and ensuring that they are relevant, meaningful, and respectful. We can also involve parents and families of students in the education process and inviting them to share their stories, perspectives, and expertise. Socioeconomic backgrounds of the learners are based on the concept of addressing the socioeconomic gaps in the classroom. These gaps refers to the differences in academic achievement, access to resources, and opportunities among students from different income levels. Teaching with their social needs in mind, students from low-income families are more likely to develop social contact problems such as aggression. So teachers can help them by creating a positive and supportive classroom climate, fostering social skills, and providing guidance and counseling. The teachers also ensured that they have access to basic health services such as feeding programs, immunization, and dental care. Lastly, in the religious backgrounds of the students, the teacher respects and accommodates students' diverse beliefs, values, and practices. Religion is an important aspect of students' identity and culture, and it can affect their learning preferences, motivation, and behavior. The teacher implements strategies such as learning about students' religious backgrounds, so he or she can use surveys and interviews to gather information about students' religious affiliations, beliefs, practices, and experiences.
At this point of time, I'm going to share to you about the Barland's transactional model. So this type of model explores immediate feedback or real-time communication between people. So it recognizes that communication is not a linear process, but rather it is a circular one between the sender and the receiver, with of course the feedback loops. So in other words, giving and also receiving messages is reciprocal. So this is the model of Barland's interpersonal communication. So the orange circles that you can see in the screen represent the communicators or the receiver and the sender. The other colored areas symbolize different types of cues. Communication takes place by decoding cues, which is represented by the orange arrow, and encoding behavioral responses, which is represented by the yellow arrows. So based on the vlog about accepting or embracing diversity among learners regardless of their socio-economical, cultural, linguistic, and religious backgrounds, we can say that this Barland's transactional model was indeed useful in a sense that there is an ongoing or a dynamic conversation between the interviewer and the interviewee, in which the interviewer prepared questions that were answered by the interviewee, and the interviewee also added something for the interviewers to answer.
Hello everyone.
I will now be talking about the dance helix model. In this model, communication is a circular process wherein conversations become more complex as we dive deeper into the interaction. This model also indicates that we gradually improve how we communicate over time by responding to the feedback provided by people we communicate with. So, as we communicate with each person in our classroom, for instance, we learn more about the situation in question and person we are connected with. This allows us to expand our circle and build on the information we're sending to achieve specific goals in our classroom. The more we communicate, the more we tend to know about their backgrounds, their diversity, and their culture. Communication is constantly evolving in this sense. If we take a look at this figure shown in the PowerPoint, we can see that as it spirals, it expands. That is how communication is represented. We can see that for example, as we first meet this person, we know a little about them. But as we communicate, it spirals up because we are receiving more feedback from them, and also we learn more from them, social, cultural background, their religious beliefs, and so on. Moving on, it reduces uncertainty and arrive at a shared understanding because it considers feedbacks as what I have said of the other party, may it be the internal and the external cues. Meanings and interpretation progresses. Hence, meanings of certain things depends on the people that created them, which is our sender. So to conclude it all, this model is based on a set of fundamental assumptions, holding that communication is dynamic, continuous, and unrepeatable. That concludes our report about the communication levels. We are the group 4, and on the next slide of this PPT, you can see there a reference which is cited in the 6th APA edition. That would be all, everyone. God bless, and thank you for listening to our discussion.